Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pineapple Podcast, where it's all about being tough on the outside and sweet on the inside. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button as we're growing our platform. Today, we have a special guest, Jeff Wallace. So, Jeff is about being all things real estate investing while at the same time keeping and maintaining his job. But the beauty with Jeff is it's all about the mindset and the mindset shift that gave him the success he has today. And we're going to break it out as we chat on the Pineapple episode today. Jeff, welcome.
Thank you very much, Mitch. It's fantastic and phenomenal to be here. Very excited.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. So, Jeff, I just want to get into what we're going to be talking about, because I think that the mindset is really important for people coming into the investment world in real estate, right? And what I love with your journey is that you're a 9 to 5er and you enjoy your job, and it's been that way for you. However, you recognize that the salary doesn't give you financial freedom. What gives you financial freedom is taking that leap of faith to say, I need to invest and I need to find a catalyst that would help me get there. And you chose real estate investing. And it's only about 3-4 years ago that you really started into this journey, and you went from not knowing, educating, and today you're an avid real estate investor. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, why you decided that 9 to 5 is just not enough for me. I want to get into real estate. And then walk us through like some of your early decision making and shifting your mind that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mitch, so it's actually only been just under 2 years. So
Oh my God.
yeah. So started just in around October of 2020. So Mitch, getting into real estate, for me, it started. My wife has always been interested, and it's actually in her blood because it's been in her family. And it was something that I opposed because I am one of your typical stories where it was just, get your 9 to 5 savings, registered funds, pay down your mortgage, etc. So we've
Right.
all heard that. And that was in my blood. It no longer is, because that's how I was raised.
Right.
So it took it some of it was by chance, but we're gonna probably talk a little bit about the mindset and belief system today as we progress. So I'm an avid reader, and I happen to be connected with Grant Cardone, but more on the sales side of it, as that's my corporate job. But of course, he is, a multi-billionaire real estate investor in the USA. So
Yes.
I follow him on Instagram, and he's a character.
Yeah, you know
And
what? I know him well. I have his trading as well because it really is quite interesting.
oh, for sure. There was one comment that was the shift for me, and it
Mm.
was he made something along the lines, or a statement along the lines of, "Do you own your own home? Yes. Well, do you have a ton of equity in that home? If yes, basically he was like, who cares? It's dead money. What is that equity doing for you?" So I leaned in, and I listened intently, and that was a pivotal moment. It was a shift in my mindset and my understanding of, okay, we can actually capitalize and leverage, starting with leveraging the equity in our home to make additional investments. And of course, at that time, with interest rates being very low, and it still makes sense today, but that's how we got started into real estate. So, and then, for my wife Lisa and I, we have our existing investments.
Jeff, I wanna pause you there because you said something that I really want the viewers to understand and to capture. Tony Robbins always says this. Sometimes it takes a coach, one line, one sentence, one comment, and it could flip your entire life into somewhere that you want to be. So people always, they fumble around whether I invest in that training and development and so on. But Grant Cardone, he is huge. He's plastered all over the network because he does build a strong brand, and he is a real estate mogul. But I love the fact that you connected with the one thing he said. Your house has equity. Who cares? It's dead money. That one line has transformed you into what we're going to share again in terms of community, network, and the things that you do, because you also bring value in a tremendous way. You're not just about buying property, actually, and we'll expose that. But I just wanted to really capture that, because that to me is pivotal. That is what people who are thinking about, how do I shift? What do I do? That's what you do.
100%, and that actually really was the chain of events that has set it off for both, myself and my wife, and the steps that we're taking to take care of ourselves, to take care of our family, and ultimately create generational wealth. Because we were doing fine going on the traditional path,
Yes.
but I'd always had this question in my mind that there has to be a better way, and for me, just that one statement, it identified a path that I could travel where there is a better way. So now, as you said earlier, I'm still in my corporate job. But so right now, today, we're running them simultaneously. And then we've built out our business plan, and our business plan,
Yeah.
real estate plan to help us to achieve the end goal, which for many or most of us, that's your lifestyle freedom or lifestyle by design.
That's exactly it. And I love how you capture that. So it's not about number of doors or number of buildings, or what real estate is all about, because that's a lot of jargon that we get in the industry. You framed it correctly. And again, mindset, because it's all about your lifestyle freedom,
Yeah.
what works for you, right? And so let's talk a little bit about that. So you've kind of realized now that your wife was right.
Yes, for once.
And now you got to build a plan, because you can't just appear in real estate and say, let me go do this. You really need a team of people around you.
Yeah.
And most importantly, I think you need the educational component, right? So that coming together, kind of gets you propelled into taking action. So now that you had that shift in mind, was it like, go, 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 I'm ready to get things done? Or kind of give us a sense of how you evolved yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be fully transparent here, Mitch, because there's no other way. Because to me, we're always learning, growing, and developing, or at least for myself, it's that is, I mean, it's what drives me. So, did we make some mistakes in the beginning? Absolutely. Do we continue to make mistakes today? Definitely. I mean, if you're stretching yourself outside of your comfort zone, you're bound to make mistakes, but that's part of the learning process. To answer your question specifically, we were go, 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 go. And I'd say what a contributing factor to that was, and again, learning from this, and I love the learning journey as long as you learn from it, but we got caught up in terms of seeing what other people were doing. And so our first thoughts were, well, we see just all of the activity and acquisitions that other people are doing, so we should be doing that too. So, but we very quickly learned, and this comes to the plan and the strategy, where I sat down with my wife and we got very clear on our goals, and we identified where we're at today or at that point in time, and we'll call that point A. And then where are we going to go from there? Well, we need to get to point Z. So what does Z look like for us? And Mitch, for lack of a better description, that really ties to our personal goals, our personal growth and development goals, our experiences, goals for experiences, our financial goals, etc. So for us, we documented current state and we documented future state. And then from there, we started and we are, so we, in our plan, we did what we call reverse engineering. So rather than going 1,000 miles an hour, we need to acquire this property, and this property. Our action, our plan, and our strategy was to understand, well, we need to get to, as I said, point Z. Reverse engineering for us is, what type of properties do we need? How many properties do we need to acquire to achieve our goals? So that really started to drive our behavior, where we focused, and we got clear then from that. I think clarity it's just a great, not a great, it's deeper than a great word, but what asset class do we want to invest in? So then we learned everything that we need to know about that asset class. And we're still doing that today, but that's setting us up to pull the trigger on the asset classes that we're choosing to invest in. And that's development, by the way, like smaller infill developments. And then we've mapped out, okay, well, now we know, okay, we're going to finish this one development and then we're going to scale on to the next development. And it's actually going to start to have a quicker trajectory where then when we get into the second development, we'll be able to layer the third and the fourth. But there's going to come a point in time where we don't necessarily even need to be that active, where we can switch to passive. So I think the key point is that we slowed down, we became much more deliberate, and we sought, if that's a word, clarity, and we're executing based on that.
That is brilliant. And again, I want to pause on that because, Jeff, you're unpacking a lot of incredible, I want to say secrets, but the fact is it's techniques in mindset shifting. And so clarity is one of the greatest accomplishment that you first get when you're doing something new in your life, right? Like going from a 9 to 5 mind frame to becoming an investor where you're taking risk, you're spending millions of dollars, you're connecting with people you probably never dreamed you'll be talking to, and talking business and then getting together. I mean, that is a significant shift. And I often see in my coaching as well, people getting stuck because of that. They're just unclear, what is my next step? What strategy do I really love? So now that you're sharing this, it's really important for people to understand that once you got clear, you went from basically a primary home to property and property and property, right?
Yeah.
Now, in a space or in a strategy that it was aligned with you and your wife, and that made perfect sense. So I want people to understand that sometimes you do have to stop. For me, I would prefer to spend a full month in planning, and then the next 12 months of pure execution is really incredible. Because, and that's what we do in sales, and you're from a sales background as well, right? Spend the time to plan. Because if you're planning and executing and planning and executing, you'll get confused, you'll get stuck, and then it's like, okay, I got to reshift everything again, and I'm not taking action because you're not probably seeing the results. So just wanted to build on that, Jeff, because you're giving us some really good clarity, insights, and I think that's really important for the person who's coming into the space as a newbie, somebody who's just like you, 9 to 5. It only pays my bills. It doesn't give me freedom, right? So if you want freedom, you're going to push yourself out of your comfort zone. And maybe we can talk a little bit about that. Shifting out of your comfort zone, Jeff. I'm sure you would have hit the terror barrier. It's like, oh my God, what am I doing? And then it's like, I need to do this. And, you're battling with yourself most times, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, perhaps it's appropriate to reference Zig Ziglar, so a motivational guru in sales. And he basically, he says, motivation doesn't last. And then he goes on to say, well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily, right? So yeah, and so that really is, when you wake up each day, it's like you have to be ready to take on the world, or the world of real estate in investing. So I just tie that in terms of how I tackle the discomfort. And I think when you and I chatted, we probably referenced that being uncomfortable is where the growth lies, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so just reminding myself of the Zig Ziglars and, being uncomfortable, it just helps me in terms of framing my mind, for that moment or for that day, just, going ahead. And I say tied to it, Mitch, that like I'm middle aged, so as I mature, to me, when we stretch ourselves, we have no other choice but to learn. And learning for me,
Yeah.
it gives me energy. So it's all of these things in play that help me to overcome fear, because we all have fear, but success lies on the other side of fear. So it's just so many little things that I remind myself on a daily basis to ensure that I'm taking action and to break through those fears.
Yep, and I'm glad you're sharing that because a lot of people don't realize part of your journey is really reset your day every day. Because once you take that sleep and you wake up in the morning, set your day, because your brain will go all over the place, and most people tend to go negative and doubt. But when you set positivity, you listen to some podcast, you read a book, like I'm a big supporter and believer in Jack Canfield because I did his programming and stuff like that. And he really brings out a lot in you. You have Tony Robbins, you have Zig Ziglar, you have so many people, Ed Milet, Dean Graziosi. There's so many people now. You have Jeff Wallace, Mitch, you have so many people that's there ready to help at different calibers, right? And it's important that people understand different calibers, because while we talk big names, their reach is so broad that sometimes people feel they're too far out in certain places. So then they find people that are in smaller communities, people like you, people like me, people like Judy Paré and all these other people that are there to help people, but their network is much smaller, so they can get more out of it and grow themselves until they continue to grow with the reach of other people as well, right? So you sharing this information is golden, because what I want people to understand is there's a tremendous amount of resources around you today for mindset and mind shifting and achieving your goals. And in real estate, like, you've come into the space and you've spoken so greatly about it. I'm sure people would like to know, okay, you came into the space, you still maintain your 9 to 5 because you love it, and then you had a primary home. But where have you taken your journey in real estate investing? If you're okay to share that, like, you've acquired what types of properties, and what's your evolution going to be like to sort of keep you in that frame of the mindset where I'm growing, I'm achieving, and I'm feeling good every day?
So, Mitch, the first property that we acquired was a single family residence, and probably not the best real estate investment. Still performing well, but when you start getting your education and you see that there's more than just one way to win, that you can add value, and rather than relying on market appreciation, that you're forcing the appreciation, etc. So our first property didn't quite fit that bill, but then we started to skill up and get educated. So then we changed our investing strategy then we bought a duplex where there was value add, and we were able to force the appreciation and essentially get your 4 ways to win. And then we took that and we applied that same strategy to we acquired a fourplex in the buy and hold, or the Burr method. So again, leveraging
Nice.
education to
Yes, yes.
improve the success on
Right.
that property. And then what we did was, again, quite truthfully, we haven't acquired anything over the last close to a year, because we found certain challenges in the market. So we took that opportunity to, again, just continue to focus on our education, honing
Yeah,
our
yeah,
strategy,
yeah.
and we're ready to pull the trigger on. I'd mentioned before that we're now getting into land development. So for us, our strategy is more infill. So we've identified a market and a strategy where we're building townhomes. And essentially, the size of the property will allow for 4 townhomes. And then we're going to suite each of those 4 units. So each will become 8. And then we very quickly plan on scaling that strategy and adding multiple properties along the way. So it's either days or weeks out from acquiring our first property using that strategy.
Cool. Let's hold up there because again, Jeff, this is quite insightful. So what I like is market is not where it needed to be for an investor the last few months. And we all agree with that because prices were just ridiculous. But it did not stop you. You continue to look for the deals, you continue to figure it out. But what I want to capture again is during that time frame, it wasn't like, oh my God, nothing is happening on the deals and I'm done or I'm waiting.
Yeah.
You're educating. And for folks looking at this, the educational component allows you to create the strategy that's going to work for you. Look at what Jeff is talking about. A single family home, then suddenly it's like, I'm learning these different strategies and whatever. And now I am going to do a 4 townhome complex. And because of his education, again, in terms of how do I maximize my value opportunity, 4 becomes 8 doors, right? Two units or 2 apartments per building. So now you're adding tremendous value to that piece of land that you have. But what I love is you've captured and you've explained that the shift in mindset comes from studying, comes from working with your coach, comes from networking with people and understanding what are the strategies that's exciting to you. And infill lot development, it's a brilliant strategy because it's just too small for the big developers. And it's certainly not for the single family home purchaser. It's really for the investor because you could bring that to life. And so, just the fact that you took that time out, understood, trained, attended seminars, did what you have to do to develop that knowledge base. So now you're making an informed decision. So I love capturing that because again, land development is an exciting space. It's not for the novice investor, right? Because too many things can go wrong in that strategy, which is why I always say to people, every strategy in real estate works. It doesn't work for everybody. So make sure you find out what's yours. And I mean, it's like, you're giving me sort of reframing of everything that I'm teaching and I'm talking about. You're just giving it back to me on a platter today. It's like I am implementing things from a regular 9 to 5 guy to a mindset guru and an investor guru at the same time. Jeff, love what you're sharing with me today. So tell us a little bit more about that particular sort of direction that you're going in. So you're loving the land development side now. So is that somewhere where yourself and your wife is looking to sort of broaden your experience and your holdings in that area?
Yeah, absolutely, Mitch. And I just wanted to actually comment back in terms of you said that I'm actually, repeating back to you essentially what you aim to instill in the people that you coach. And I think that, I mean, first of all, I'll take that as a compliment and thank you.
100%.
It,
Yes.
it warms my heart, and I just think that that's a critical point, and it because there's many things to help us be successful, and you touched upon many of them. First of all, if what I'm saying to you, you say that you're aiming to instill that in some of the learnings that you're doing with some of your students, it just tells me, okay, like it's if I'm saying something that resonates with you, well, that's telling me that the learning and focus that my wife and I have on in skilling up, it's working. And then also you mentioned a couple of things there, and one of them was a team, right? So to this day, we still have a coach that is taking us through every step of the development process. Again, so it's strength in the team. It's also having comfort of dealing with an extremely very successful subject matter expert. So we have that guidance. We continue to learn, grow, and develop, and have the confidence to be able to execute. And again, it's and if we take a look going back over the last several months, when you're not acquiring, you need to also be careful, because if you see other people acquiring, you could have that FOMO, fear of
Yes.
missing out.
Yes.
However, you need to recognize the steps that you're taking. And if you're being a little bit more strategic, a little bit more methodical, well, guess what? You can build on that. And to me, that is success, because you're going at your own pace, and you don't need to worry about what others are doing. But you asked me a question in terms of, I believe, scalability. 100%. This is the niche that my wife Lisa and I, that we are niching down. And I'm proud to say that I had another development opportunity presented to. I've had several, but just recently, as early as yesterday, it was development, but it did not fit our investing criteria. Whereas before, I would say yes to exploring that as an opportunity, but then that took me and Lisa away from our focus. And it's like, essentially, we had to learn something not completely new, but it was taking us off track. So that's recent for me in terms of saying no. I think it's
Mhm.
Warren Buffett that actually says, like, helping to contribute to success, it's as much or more of what you say no to versus what you say yes to. So I was very proud of saying no to that. And there's another one that's coming up that somebody else is approaching me on. I'm saying no, because this is our swim lane. We've identified our swim lane. That's where we're playing. And I think some people can be successful in having multiple strategies, but you lose that focus. And for me, I really believe that you can gain momentum, traction, and exponential success by generating that focus.
Absolutely. Well said, because you're absolutely right. And especially when you're kind of new, like coming into the space in 2 years and accomplishing what you're doing, that is not easy. While at the same time, with you and Lisa having your full-time jobs, it means that your family time and your spare time, you're tuning that wheel of innovation to figure it out. And you have to be prepared to say no to certain deals, because if it just doesn't work, don't kill your time. You have an initial review. If it makes sense, then yeah, then you can deep dive and then really make a decision. But if at the initial review you're seeing it's not working for you, then you got to step back and say, okay, next. Because there are multiple deals out there. And to your point, when you become a specialist in one or two strategies, then you really get people coming in. And like you say, you're attracting the deals coming your way now, simply because people know that's your lane. And so they're going to be feeding you stuff, and makes life easier, because now you're just reviewing. You're reviewing until you find the gem that's going to make it work for you. But Jeff, one thing I want to make sure that we capture in this episode as well is you do a lot of giving back. It's not just, me and Lisa, we found the strategy, we're loving it, we're building our future, generational wealth is there. My children will be well taken care of as they continue to come into their adulthood and whatever. The giving back is huge to me. And I know that you spend a lot of time in the communities that you're involved with, talking about mindsets, sharing with people, how do you shift, how do you overcome. And I want to just, from your perspective, why give back, or why give back in that way. uh,
Yeah.
and I'd love to get your opinion on what's the direction or the motivator for you.
Well, I'll tell you, I'd say it's physiological.
Ah,
So you give back, and if you get positive feedback from somebody, and Mitch, this is what I love about what you're doing on a grand scale with the Pineapple podcast.
yeah, yeah.
When you impact somebody else's life, like, I've read it before, and before having impact on, and I've had impact, but before I gave myself credit. And when it became more obvious to me in terms of conversations that I'm having, feedback in terms of people being able to implement strategies that we've collaborated on. It's not just me saying something; it's more actually, and from a coaching perspective, you're actually drawing out of people what they already know they should be doing. But when you have that positive impact, it's physiological. Like, it brings a smile. It hits me in the belly. It hits me in the heart. And when you start, like, just feeling that, again, you're not just thinking it, like, it's connected in your body. And there is, it ranks right up there in terms of the top enjoyment things in life.
Yeah.
It really is true. When you have that positive impact on people. It is a stunningly beautiful feeling. And I actually, again, I had to learn it through doing. And since having those experiences, I love it because, hey, it's what life's all about. I mean, you have to figure out on, what drives you, what makes you feel good. And when you feel good, you want more of it.
That's right. It's in your DNA.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I love with this segment is you and I are so much alike in so many ways with that mindset and the fact that we love real estate, so we embrace both. But you really do, like I've spent a lot of time learning, but it reaches a point when you get into positivity that you want to put it out there. And so putting it out gives me and gives you energy. Like you talk to people for hours and hours and hours, and when you're done, it's like, yep, let's go, ready to do something. You go in your 9 to 5, you're done for the day. It's like, man,
Yeah.
I need a break, I need a breather. And nothing is wrong with that, but it's just the shift. It's just like you're talking to people because you're giving and you're getting energy from giving, because now they're recognizing, hey, what you do and what you say, because you've learned it from the gurus before you, that you're passing down brilliant information that honestly was not shared before. The real estate world was controlled in many respects by the investor community. That was the big names, the big leagues. But today, you and I can get into the space. Why? Because there's people like you and I that can help each other to understand what to do and how to go and collaborate. And now you even have the opportunity where you can put your money into projects and you don't necessarily need to be in the project other than being passive. There's opportunities now where even the big banks don't share this with you, but you can use your registered funds, get it deployed in real estate investing that's going to give you, in some places, guaranteed returns of north of 10% sometimes. Like, people just don't know how powerful real estate is. And if you look back on history, real estate is the area that has built the most millionaires out of any industry. you know and remember, guys, 4 5 ways to win on real estate, right? We'd love to unpack that on a separate segment, but in stock market, one way to win. Now, it's not right or wrong, but just think about it. 4 to 5 ways in one area, which is why we learn it. The stock market, it's made many, many millionaires. I don't discount it, but one way. You buy and you wait for it to go up, right? So real estate just gives you some differentiators. You don't necessarily need all of the money up front. You need, let's say, 20, 25, 35% for whatever price of asset. You can join with people and build strengths together in finding opportunities and strategies. But more importantly, we need people like you, Jeff, that are saying, hey, you know what? I want to be active in this space and I want to find deals that are just the right deals for me and my goals, and then bring people along with you, because it's not only about becoming part of it, it's also the giving back, which is the most brilliant piece, I think, that you and Lisa bring to communities that you work in, right? And we all started in the same, more or less in the same community space with Scott and Michael, creating this platform for all of us to be able to build and grow and enjoy community. Because when you look at the population of North America, we're really tiny compared to the population, but we're strong enough to make a difference in each other's lives.
Yes.
So, and I know that you've been avid as well. Like, you connected with a lot of other people like yourself in order to share that knowledge that you so brilliantly sort of captured in terms of why you're giving back. You're actually building your own energy, right? So I absolutely love that about you. So tell us, Jeff, if people wanted to connect with you, what's the best way to do it?
Mitch, thank you very much. So really connecting, I know you're going to drop in the podcast our email address. So it's just info@infinetpropertygroup.com. Infinet spelled INFINET. And there's a very specific reason for that spelling that we can likely get into another day. But those words of NET stand for net worth. Our goal is to impact other people's lives through increasing their net worth along with ours. I'll keep it short and keep it at that.
Nice. Well, we have it here, guys, and I'll put the information in the comments below so that you have access to him all the time. Jeff is always ready and willing to chat with anybody to help them wherever their needs are, right? So again, from me, thank you all very much for taking in another episode. And Jeff has been great. Thank you, Jeff, for giving us so much valuable insights and so much of your beautiful time. And again, folks, remember, we're wishing you all the best in your financial journey as you build yourself towards financial freedom. Take care.
Thank you, Mitch. Take care.
Okay, Jeff. Bye.
Bye now.